Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fitmama podcast. This is the work in to your workout. Hey, Fit Mama. Today I have a special treat for you that is Dr. Shyamala Kiru from Kiru Wellness. She is an incredible resource all around high performance relationships. And she helps people have high performance relationships in every area of their life. Yes, Dr. Shyamala is a mindset and relationship expert. She is trained as a registered psychotherapist and a registered couple and family therapist. Her mission is to help people have high performance relationships in every area of their life. And we're going to talk today in detail as to what exactly that is. She is the founder and director of Kiru Wellness Clinic, a mental health practice dedicated to the optimization of the entire family system. I have met Dr. Shyamala in person. She does not disappoint in terms of how beautiful a person she is, with the biggest heart. And in addition to her clinic, she's a media expert, having appeared on national television shows for nearly a decade, and she consults for publications such as Chatelaine, Toronto Star, and the Globe and Mail. She spent several years serving on the board of directors for the Ontario Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. More importantly, she is the chief inspiring officer to her incredible daughter. And I have met her husband, who played basketball back in the day when my husband was coaching in Ontario, so they knew each other. So it's a small world all around. I can't wait to share with you Dr. Shyamala, her belief system, her education, her knowledge. It is powerful. And I really want to share this with you today. So we are going to jump right in. She believes that our capacity for happiness, confidence, and contribution is tied to our capacity to navigate our relationships. And I've talked to hundreds of thousands of people in my life, and let me tell you, I know that relationships and how our relationships unfold with our significant other or others in our lives do play a huge role on our health, our happiness, and our pursuit of those things. So thank you for being here. And I know you're going to enjoy this, but send me a message and let me know how you enjoy it. Have a great day. Here we go. Hey, Fit Mama. I am so excited to be here today and welcoming our special guest, Dr. Shyamala Kiru. Welcome.
Hey, Jen. So excited to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so grateful to have you. I mean, I shared a little about you, and we're going to dive deep into your wisdom today because you have so much. I follow you online, and I've been a fan for quite some time. You talk about really, really cool stuff when it comes to what I believe fit mamas are really interested in digging in when it comes to our inner size or our work into our workout. You know, what you talk about with respect to relationships, not only with other people and communication, but also with ourselves. And you're such an inspired professional out there. So I'm so grateful to bring you here to the Fit Mamas. And we're just going to dive right in to, talking right about high performance relationships. This is really what you talk about. And every one of us is in many relationships in our lives. And you're a mom as well. And we're going to kind of get into that. But right off the bat, talk to us a little bit about what you do and how relationships are a part of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So training-wise, I am a registered psychotherapist. I've got a clinic in Toronto. And so our clinic focuses on working with individuals, couples, and families. So we really service all parts of the family system. And the way that we work really is we look at what creates and what essentially optimizes relationships for people. And the passion really came out of my own training. My doctorate is in couple and family therapy. And I really do believe that, the quality of our relationships essentially determines the quality of our life. And I find this in particular with women, right? We're such connected beings. And the people that are most important to us are also really, really critical in terms of how we experience ourselves, how we experience the world around us, how we experience our own health and happiness and capacity to contribute to the world. And so I have a really deep sense of passion for helping people create and achieve high performance relationships in every aspect of their life.
I love that. That is such a good intro. Wow. So what do you mean by high performance relationship in every aspect? Tell us more about that, because I think we can imagine, okay, we're not fighting with anyone, we're loving people, but what really is going on?
Yeah, I love that. And this is the thing is, right, we see so many people in our clinic that will say, well, you know what, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm not fighting with anyone. There's no major conflict happening in my life, but really where we want to get people to, our goal is authentic connection. And so for us, that framework for authentic connection actually starts with the individual, right? So it starts working one-on-one with each person that we meet. And so the place that we start with them is what we would call mindset mastery. So really looking at what is your mindset? What are the things that contribute to your cognitive structure or your perspective, the ways in which you think about yourself, about the people around you, about the world around you. And this mindset can either set you up for success in terms of connection, or it can really set you up for failure in terms of disconnection and distance and even discord in relationships. So when we talk about high performance relationships, I really look at them within a framework that incorporates that mindset mastery. And then the second component of that for us is communicating with confidence. And that's something I'm sure that this resonates for so many women that might be listening, is that's hard.
Oh, so
right?
hard. So hard. Not to interrupt you, but I have so many things I already want to say. I'm like jumping out of my skin because what you're saying is just so valuable here. And I think communication with confidence, I think, is not necessarily what we're taught ever in school. I mean, maybe if you join the debate team, which I was terrified by the concept, I thought, is that a thing? I'm definitely running away. I did not want to be in drama. I did not want to be in anywhere where you had to speak and public speak, go figure. And those things petrified me. And I think most of us can agree in that way, where we aren't necessarily confident in communicating. And then when it comes to our partner who we're, intimate with, where do we learn these things? And then we go and have kids and we're in like the, most intense time of our life. And then we're supposed to be amazing at communicating so we don't rip each other's heads off.
That's right. That's right. And not only are we supposed to be amazing at communicating with our partners, but then we're supposed to be these amazing role models for our children, right?
Yes.
And, I don't know about, your listeners out there, but most of the people that I meet do not have healthy templates for communication, right? And it's so important because the kind of communication that I'm talking about is not simply, it's not just about assertiveness. It's not just about expressing yourself. It's not just about the public speaking, which really is one of the biggest fears that we have as human beings, myself included. It's something that I've struggled with as well. But it's about being able to communicate authentically so that we can connect authentically, right? And what really gets in the way for so many of us women is that we are so afraid to identify and express authentically what our needs are in any given relationship.
Yes. So then where does this come from? Is it that we're not taught, or is it that we're just like, dismiss your feelings, don't ask for what you need? Like, what is it?
All of the above, right? So it's dismiss your feelings, don't ask for what you need. If you ask for what you need, you risk abandonment, you risk rejection, you risk not being loved, you risk not being good enough, you risk being needy, right? So there are all these really negative connotations that we have come to associate with being authentic and open and honest in our relationships, right? And so not only are we not taught how to do it, we are actually taught the opposite. We're taught that we shouldn't do it, right? So most of us, if we're to be really honest, have had this messaging growing up that we should not be open and honest and authentic in terms of what we think, what we feel, and what we need.
Totally, right? This is actually coming really, close to home for me right now, as I am meeting new friends. I've just moved to a new country and a new city. I knew zero people here other than, the four of us that live in our house. And I'm such a witnesser of myself after all the years and years of mindfulness that I'm watching myself interact with people and just really noticing, where am I, kind of agreeing in situations, or where am I noticing where I want to, assert my feelings on something where I might not have, right? Or just watching my kids make friends, and where there comes that social falling into line normalcy, let's call it, for lack of a better word, to where you want to just be authentic and share and go, that is not right or wrong or whatever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so what you're touching on there, Jen, I think is this reality that we all struggle with and navigate consistently in our relationships. And it's one of the markers of authentic connection. And it's this idea of navigating togetherness versus separateness, right? So togetherness is kind of fueled by agreement, and we have core values, and we really understand one another, and there's lots of things we have in common. Separateness defines our individuality. Right? And so with every relationship, intimate relationships, the parenting relationship, friendships, work relationships, we are constantly navigating that fine line between togetherness and separateness. Right? So the clinical term would be attachment and differentiation. Right? And so we're constantly making judgments. Is it safe for me to express my separateness here? Right? Is there a sense of belonging where I can actually experience a sense of togetherness here?
Good one. Yeah. And that is so true. And I think that builds towards those other things like trust, those bigger things, right?
That's right. That's right. Because in order for trust to really be present in a relationship, we've got to be able to navigate both of those things, right? So if I think about my own marriage, right, trust has continued to build and increase in my own marriage as I show more and more of my separateness to my partner within the safety of our togetherness, right? More and more of my individuality in the context of our secure attached relationship. Right?
Yes.
And so as we do that, we also model that for our children, which is incredibly powerful, right? To show them that you can be both an individual and you can belong, right? And the ability to navigate that fine line is a life skill that will carry you through the rest of your life.
I never thought of it that way, though. That's really cool. I like what you said. I want to go back to something you said earlier in the beginning, which was around our sort of beliefs and, how we perceive things and how we view things. It all comes sort of through this filter, right? And, I think that's so powerful because I've definitely seen that in working with Fitmamas and the clients that I've worked with for over a decade now. But it's so interesting to realize that when our perspective shifts and we learn something new or something changes, and we have a new filter with which we see the world, like becoming a mom, right? We kind of have like a wake-up call, so to speak, where we go, whoa, things just don't quite look the same anymore. Some of the values I had, I don't value as much anymore. These are more my priorities, etc. And I think we kind of sometimes get stuck in like this spot where we're ready to evolve and certain things have evolved, but we still have this old community or connections. Do you know where I'm going with this? Like this is an ongoing navigation as we evolve of how do we still connect with the people, and are we needing to move on to different relationships too? Or like you said with your husband, within that secure relationship, it's only getting stronger, which is what I've found with my husband too.
Right. And part of that strengthening and deepening of intimacy, believe it or not, is actually being able to identify your needs so that you can also assert boundaries. Right? And so one of the things that, to sort of circle back to your piece around, when you become, a new mom, and then, how our filter changes, our perceptions begin to change, our priorities begin to shift, right? And I think one of the biggest mistakes we make, particularly during that transition into motherhood, is that we don't reassess and begin to redefine our relationships based on our new values, new priorities, and just like there's a new level of energy that's needed, right? In order to engage really fully in that role of parenthood. Right? And so if we're not doing that reassessing, if we're not redefining where our energy is being distributed, what's going to happen is we're going to burn out. And we're going to become really, really resentful because, in my opinion, the way that we define our relationships should not be static. It should not stay the same as we move through different developmental stages in our life.
You're so right. And I think we often almost get into that headspace of feeling guilty that we don't do some of the things that we did before, or that those aren't even of interest to us. And some relationships just change while others get strengthened. And I think sometimes we think we still have to have all these friends or have all these commitments and do all these things. And I think when it comes down to it, is that sometimes those can just overburden us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we often don't pause long enough to say, okay, are these relationships still serving me? And we may not even be serving those relationships any longer, right? Because if we're not able to authentically engage and if we're not able to be fully present, I think really in any relationship, we're probably not serving that relationship in the same way either, right? And so it really is about slowing down. And I know you talk a lot about this, Jen, in the work that you do with the women that you coach, is really, sort of slowing down long enough so that you're actually able to take stock of your energy, take stock of your priorities, and then begin to make decisions from that place in terms of where you're going to place your energy.
Now, have you noticed some common sort of red flags or sort of pit stops that we can look at that we're going, okay, if this is going on, maybe this is something we should be aware of?
Yeah. So, for me, one of the biggest indicators when I work with women in terms of like a need to really reassess and kind of redefine their relationships is resentment, right? So anytime
talk about that, we know that.
Yeah. Let's just talk about resentment for a moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so resentment is one of these emotions that women experience quite often. And it's often a really, really strong indicator that that woman in particular they're making choices that they do not want to make. They are saying yes when they actually really need to and want to say no.
Good
right?
one.
And so what happens when we say yes consistently, when we really want, need, and mean no, is we feel resentful. Right? So resentment is the emotion that I will often see. The action or the behavior is blaming.
Blaming.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So we start blaming others. Oh my gosh, my partner doesn't do anything around the house. My kids never listen to me. My mother doesn't help out, right? When we're blaming everyone around us for how we're feeling and for the resentment that we're carrying, often is another really strong indication that we need to look at boundaries. You're probably saying yes far too often when you really mean no. And then you're shifting blame to everybody else. But they had no idea that you couldn't pick up the dry cleaning, or that you can't make dinner every single night, or that you can't add on one more activity for the kids. Like, they had no idea.
Yes. And I think that's such a key point there with the resentment, is that, we will not ask, right? My husband, he has a great question that he asks me, and I'm always very cognizant when I'm listening to that question and then how I answer, because he says, is there anything I can do to help you out right now? Because sometimes if I'm in a tizzy running around going, oh, I got all the things, right? He'll kind of stop me and he'll say that one question. And my go-to is, no, I got it. No, no, there's nothing you can do to help. I have all these things to do, right? And when it's that knee-jerk reaction, it's a lie, right? It's a lie. And I'm like, I know there's something he can help me with. If nothing else, that I can tell him something that will take something off my mind, if nothing else. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But I don't ask before, and it's been so many years, and it's one of those things where I totally agree that what you said at the outset, the quality of the relationships totally is a parallel with the quality of our life.
That's right. That's right. We're such relational creatures and beings. And so much of what we are navigating moment to moment in our lives is relationships.
Yeah.
Right? And it's relationships with others. It's relationship with ourselves, which is something I know that you focus so deeply on, right? It's what's my relationship with myself, right? Do my words and my actions match? Am I aligned with my values, right? Is my day prioritized in a way that's actually, aligned with my goals and my dreams and my hopes and the things that I put out there in the world? Or am I living completely out of integrity?
Mm-hmm. And that's such a great question to ask, because we live in this world where right from the minute our alarm goes off in the morning or our kids jump on us, we're in reactive mode. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I'm reacting to this. Oh, I got to return this email. Oh, I'm reacting to this person. Oh, she cut me off. I'm reacting to that. And we can do that. Or, like what you teach is that awareness around that moment when you get to choose, right?
Right.
And that's so powerful.
That's right. That's right. And even just recognizing that not only do I have a right to choose, I really think we have a responsibility to choose.
Yes. Good
right?
one.
We have not just the right, but
so
the response. Like we have the responsibility. And when we don't exercise that right and that responsibility, there is no way we can have authentic connection with the people that are most important to us.
No,
right?
Because it becomes resentful immediately.
What's that?
Sorry, it becomes resentful immediately, I think. That resentment just pops through.
Absolutely. Do you know how many couples I meet with? And, in the context of therapy, finally, one partner turns to the other and says, I resent the fact that, I'm the one that's, taking the kids to all their activities, every single day or whatever it is. Right. And then the other partner turns to them and says, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. You never told me that. You never communicated that to me.
And do you think it's a matter of he or she never communicated that? Or obviously it's that they never communicated that, but is it that they weren't comfortable communicating that? Or was it that they weren't admitting it to themselves?
It is absolutely both. And so you've kind of hit the nail on its head, right? So the first part of expressing your needs or communicating your needs, your thoughts, your feelings to another person, if we were to back that right up, the first part of that is actually identifying them for yourself. Mm. And you would be amazed at how many of us actually have a lot of trouble just identifying what our needs are, right? How many times I just sit in a room with a woman and I say, so what is it that you need from your partner? And they will stare at me blankly. I don't know. I've actually never thought about that.
Right. We've never given ourselves that permission. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to just piggybacking on what you said, right? I'm in reactive mode constantly. I've actually never thought about that.
Yeah. And we aren't giving ourselves that permission in the moment to say, I deserve to choose the way I want to do things here.
That's right. And that's exactly it, right? And I think as women, we struggle with that more certainly than the men that I work with, is giving ourselves permission. And I think historically, right, we really haven't been given the permission to identify our needs, to express our needs, to set boundaries, to practice assertiveness. And so there's sort of a historical context to that as well. The women that I work with, most of us, I'm in my 40s, like most of the women that I work with, we were parented from a generation where their mothers were perhaps not assertive, and that wasn't valued, and that wasn't something that we were striving towards. I mean, back then they didn't have women like you and I sitting down having conversations about the value of assertiveness. No.
And I mean, not even until 5 years ago, to be honest, did I even, unless it was in a context of education or professional, but just in a personal relationship life, I wasn't, before I became a mom and really was like, wow, I'm going to break down and not function as a human unless I start communicating my needs. I was I look back and I go, oh my gosh, I was like a teenager trying to be cool or something. Like, what the heck? Hey, Fitmama. I am interrupting this episode with Dr. Shyamala to tell you about an incredible opportunity to work with her in her program, Mindset Mastery. It is an evidence-based approach to leveling up your mindset. So as we know, we talk a lot about mindset here at Fitmama, and this is your ultimate tool for executing your New Year's resolutions this year. I really want you to take a minute to think about this and click the link in the show notes if this means something to you and if it's something that you're looking for, because Dr. Shyamala is such a vibrant personality. She has so much wisdom and knowledge, and she has worked with literally thousands of individuals and couples to help them with their mindset. She knows where you've been. She knows how to get you out of where you're at if you are stuck in a rut. She says that mindset is a strong predictor of overall life satisfaction and our capacity to navigate our relationships. She talks a ton about relationships, as you hear in this episode, and she really wants to help you because her method is different. It is based on evidence. It is empirically validated, which means we know it works. And it not only teaches you about how to manage your negative, anxiety-provoking thoughts, but it also teaches you exactly how to develop a mindset that is optimized for success, Fitmama. The best part is that this course delivers results quickly and for the long term. It is something you can do at home. I will include the link to find out more information. Dr. Shyamala is such a brilliant wealth of information. She will absolutely help you with whatever it is you need related to your mindset, psychology, and all the things related to that. So click the link in the show notes, Fitmama. Hit reply to me if you have any questions when I send you out an email about this amazing podcast that you're listening to right now. You know where to find me all the time. I am so excited to be here with you and Dr. Shyamala. Back to the interview.
I hear you. I'm sort of laughing because, and it's something that I talk so often about with the women that I work with, is so many of us can remain stuck in that teenage state, right? That we haven't sort of matured emotionally. We don't know and understand that it's perfectly okay to be an adult in our relationships and to actually, express what we need, to identify what we need, to say, I like this and I don't like that, and that can all be okay. And funny enough, that shift into parenthood is often the turning point for so many women, right? Like it's such a game changer, first of all.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, if you weren't sure what your needs were before, you become acutely aware of them once you become a parent, because it's about survival, certainly in that first couple of years. And you're just, working really hard not to burn out so that you can take care of these little people. And so, it's usually at that point where you really recognize, man, I got to get my act together. I got to start actually advocating for myself. And I need to stop pretending that I can do it all and do it all really well, and, be an adult and start asking for help.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to what you said before about being that role model for your kids, because they watch what we do, right? We could tell them any words under the sun and they don't communicate in words, especially for the first 7 years almost, right? Like they're just going, I'm doing what you're doing and I'm what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling above all.
Right.
And, I know a number of fit mamas I've worked with and, clients I've worked with and people I've just known for so long who, it was once they had one child or more that they needed to get out of that relationship. Right? They realized it wasn't healthy and it didn't matter what, they were going to go work on. This wasn't the person. They wanted to expose their child, even with that person, to on more basis. Right? And I think that is evidence that it's a, sort of that wake up opportunity where we realize we are leaders in our own life. And when it comes to kids, they look at us and they look to us to lead them. And when we can model those sort of healthy communication and behavior in relationships. So I really want to talk about that a little with you. Okay, some red flags around, if you're resenting or if you're blaming, if you're constantly feeling like you don't feel like communicating. What about, what things to look for or drive towards?
Right. So what are those indicators of really healthy, authentic connection? What are some indications of high performance relationships?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sort of scope back, and then I'm gonna focus back on the connection piece. But again, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of checking your own mindset, right? So if you are filled with negative, toxic thoughts, it will absolutely trickle into your relationships. You can't convince me that it doesn't, because it does, right? It all starts with our thoughts.
You're talking thoughts about, oh, I'm feeling bad about myself, like body image, negative in your life, feeling like you're frustrated, stuck.
All of it.
All the things.
All of it. I'm stuck. I can't handle this. Nobody loves me. The thoughts often that we have are pretty catastrophic, right? The negative ones, and they have a huge impact, right? So the foundation of that is really beginning to identify and shift those thoughts and ensuring that you're actually operating out of a mindset that is actually optimized for authentic connection and being able to be assertive and making really great choices for yourself. So that's the first piece, right? Okay. The second piece is around communication, right? And if communication is not open and honest and assertive, and I'm going to dive a little deeper into what assertive communication actually looks like. Okay. If it is not those things, then there's no way, again, that you can create authentic connection with the people in your life. Because then what ends up happening is you're showing people the version of yourself that you think they will accept, right? Because you don't want to be rejected. No one wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to be abandoned. Right? We don't want that. So what ends up happening is, out of fear of rejection and abandonment, we only show people the version of ourselves that we think will be accepted. So we don't actually show people our full selves, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why one of the reasons we're not assertive. So really, in order to be able to have a high performance relationship, what we need to do is, one, be able to communicate our needs openly and honestly to the people around us. But here's the trick. When we communicate our needs openly and honestly, Jen, we need to recognize that does not mean that they can meet all of our needs.
Ooh, I like that. Say that one again. Right? That's a good one.
Yes, because this is the trick, right? It's not like a genie in a bottle. We're not like, right? We're not going, here's what I need, and it's going to happen. That's not how authenticity works. That's not how genuine connection works, right? So assertiveness is not about getting what you want. It's not. And people often have it confused with that. Assertiveness is a communication style that fosters deeper connection, that fosters intimacy, that creates secure attachment. That's actually what it is.
Love that.
Right. And so assertiveness, in order to genuinely and authentically show up in a relationship in a grounded way and express yourself assertively, you have to do the work on your own to be able to let go of the outcome.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I say to you, for example, Jen, I love your podcast, love what you're doing out there in the world. I'd love to be on there, right? I'd love to be a guest. When I come to you with a request, like an assertive request, that's what I would call an assertive request, right? I'm not dancing around it. I'm not being passive aggressive going, man, Jen, you've got a really cool podcast. Do you know that I sometimes go on podcasts, right? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm being totally upfront with you. But what I need to be able to do is totally let go of the outcome. So when I ask you, make that assertive request to you, I have to do it from a place of emotional neutrality so that you have the freedom and the right and the responsibility to say to me, sure, you know what? No, I'm so sorry. You're actually, you're not a great fit for the podcast. I can refer you to another one, or maybe next month when we're focusing on mindset or whatever, right? You've got the freedom to say whatever it is that you want to say in response to my request. Right? So that, for me, practicing that skill over and over and over again, and deepening that skill in each and every relationship is what ultimately allows people to grow together and not grow apart.
I like that. And for the record, I invited Dr. Shyamala on here, and I reached out to her because I thought she was amazing. Just putting that out there, but good one. And I like what you said about it not, it almost takes out that opportunity for tension or resentment when you're opening it without being attached to that outcome.
Right. And the beauty of that is that it immediately deepens the relationship, right? So when we consistently approach all of those people that are super important to us, so let's just bring it back to, like, let's say within our marriage, right? We approach our partner with that level of, this is what I'd love, and this is what I really need, and here's what I'm thinking about, and do you think you could do X, Y, and Z? But when we approach it with that level of openness, it speaks to our emotional maturity, our emotional intelligence, right? And it lets them know that regardless of your response, I'm still able to engage with you authentically. Right? My ability to remain present in this relationship is not predicated on you meeting every single one of my needs.
Right.
Because they can't.
No.
Let's be honest.
No.
Right? Like, I don't, I have yet to meet a couple where, a partner's able to meet every single one of your needs.
Yeah. No. I think you're right. And I think definitely starts with that, almost that grounding that is that mindset piece you talk about. Because if we don't, let ourselves actually feel or ask what it is that we need, then we can never come to that opportunity that we can assert ourselves. And, I think it's so important to note that connection between assertiveness and it actually fostering a deeper connection. Because I think, like you said, our survival is that we don't want to be rejected, so we're not going to ask for what we need, but then we'll just look like we're appeased all the time and we're happy and all go. And yet we're really resenting and wanting to, cause a fight. So I want to, from here, Dr. Shyamala, I really want to talk a little bit about if you feel like, for any of our fit mamas out there who are feeling like, I haven't ever done this before. I haven't been assertive, or I don't know what my needs are, but I'm in a bad space. I'm in a bad place with my, spouse, partner, whoever. Where do I start?
Oh, love that question.
Yay.
Can I use a personal example? Because I like to, this is something I've worked on. So let me just put that out there. Okay. I was not born assertive. This is not something that just came naturally to me. It absolutely did not. It was something I actually really had to learn for myself, and understand what happens when we are not assertive, and really experience the beauty of what assertiveness can do in a relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share a personal story. I remember when I was dating my now husband. Okay. We've been married for 11 years. I remember when we were dating, I came from a very accommodating communication style. So my family of origin, very, very accommodating. So we certainly did not practice assertiveness and having your own opinions and expressing those. It's just not the template I came from. Okay. So I remember we're in the car, we're driving, we're decided to go for dinner. And he said to me, asked me a question that, most people would ask while they're dating is, where do you want to go for dinner?
Yeah.
And I responded with my typical, I don't know, you choose. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, no, really? Like, what do you want for dinner? I don't know, you choose. And so this went back and forth a few times. He pulled over and he's like, Sham, like, really? Like, what do you want? What do you feel like eating for dinner? Okay.
Yeah. This
was one of those eye-opening moments for me where I recognized and realized, like, oh my goodness, I've actually never slowed down enough when someone's asked me that question to actually think about what I'd like. Okay.
Wow.
So if you want a place to start, that's where I started. That's where I coach a lot of the women that I work with.
That's square one. We got that.
Right? So let's just start exactly, right? Start with the really, really, really small decisions that you are used to saying, I don't know, or you go ahead, or it doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with whatever, right? Those are the typical responses that we can have as women. They are accommodating responses.
Totally. And I think that's so common. What I'm feeling the need to ask right now is, what if we have almost been assertive to a point where it's the other end? Do you know how you know what I'm saying? Almost like it's a nagging. It's like, oh, she always has an opinion about this, that, or the other. Because I feel like it could swing the pendulum the other way, and then maybe the partner or family is tuned out. Have you seen that?
I would call that, in my opinion, so when it's assertiveness as a communication style,
right.
And remember, it's a communication. It's not a thing that we are. We are not assertive. It's a way that we communicate, right?
I like
True
that.
Assertiveness always balances the relationship. It does take into account the other person's needs, so it wouldn't lead you to nagging behavior.
Okay.
I would say nagging behavior is probably more either the aggressive communication style or the passive aggressive communication style.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's probably an unhealthier way of communicating. And nagging, really, what nagging is complaining without actually asking. Right? So nagging really is not assertiveness.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't want to mix nagging in with, because I think assertiveness is a really healthy way to communicate.
Yeah.
If you're nagging, you probably have needs, and you're probably resentful, and you're probably angry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you just need a new, fresh, and different way to ask for those needs.
Totally. Yeah. Great. Good point. Thank you. Yeah. And
Does that make
sense? I think, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so common, because we're in, these relationships, whether a partner new or older, we kind of fall into grooves and we just get in these grooves. And I've talked with a lot of fit mamas who are just kind of stuck in these grooves where, they've asked over and over and the needs aren't being met. They're the ones doing a large portion of the work, let's say, in the household, as in addition to holding a job outside of the home that might be quite high level, which involves a lot of responsibility and then being responsible for a lot of things at home. I think that's where I see some of the breakdowns with the fit mamas I work with, and it's one of those things where it's not that they're not assertive and it's not that they're nagging. It's sort of just this other place where there's something not working. Right. And I don't know what you see with the couples you work with in that case, or what you tend to do with them as a starting point.
And, and I think you're touching on something that unfortunately is still a reality for many couples and families. And that is that women, despite what their contributions are to the household in terms of career or financial contributions, whatever that is, they are still carrying the bulk of the workload at home, right? So and I think that's what you're touching on. Is that right, Jen? I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question. Yeah. Right. And then how do you navigate that, right? So you've asked assertively, you've said, hey, listen, I really need your help with this. So what you're touching on is what I would call a relationship dynamic that is called overfunctioning and underfunctioning. Do you understand what I'm saying when I label that way, right? So what happens when we overfunction, and women are so much more prone to overfunctioning in all honesty than men are, right? And when we overfunction, we're doing more than what's reasonably required. Okay. So whenever an overfunctioning, underfunctioning can only happen in the context of a relationship. Okay. So if I am overfunctioning, what I'm doing more than what's reasonably required, but then I am always inviting people to underfunction. So I'm enabling underfunctioning to happen. So the example that I often use is, let's say I wash the dishes every night. And every night as I'm washing the dishes, I'm complaining that I am washing the dishes every single night, right? And maybe I've asked assertively, hey, honey, could you help me? Could we take turns, or can we get the kids involved, or whatever it is? And no one is responsive to me. Yeah. Okay. As long as I keep washing the dishes, nobody is going to be responsive to me. Right? Yeah. Because I continue to perpetuate the cycle that exists. Yes. Because I will take on the load. Yes. I will keep washing. And washing the dishes is just a simple example, but we could use we could use any example, laundry, whatever it is, anything, right? That creates that feeling of resentment and fatigue and burnout and all of those sorts of things, right? As long as we continue to do it, there's a behavioral component to it as well. We will enable others to not do that thing.
Yes. Such a good one. And
it happens in parenting. Parenting is probably the breeding ground for the overfunctioning, underfunctioning dynamic. And it is the breeding ground because it's actually a perfect setup, right? When our kids are really little, they actually can't do much for themselves. Totally. So we're required to. Yes. But what happens is they become increasingly capable of taking on more and more tasks. But what we fail to do is actually identify that they have increased their capacity for tasks and hand off those tasks to them, we continue to take responsibility for them the same way, like we continue to take responsibility for our 10-year-old the same way that we did when that child was 5 or 6, right?
And it's so easy to fall into that.
What's that?
It's so easy to fall into that because like, oh, I'll do it quicker.
Easy.
Oh, I'll just do it for you, right?
Well, that's it. It's so easy to fall into it, right? We're not being bad parents because we fall into it. We do it, often because it's just quicker for us to do it. Sometimes we feel, guilty that we're not spending enough time with our kids. So we'll sort of help them out with extra tasks or whatever it is. There's lots of good reasons why we do it.
Yeah.
But it does create a really problematic dynamic, and particularly with parenting, it really sets kids up for failure, right? Because then they're robbed of the opportunity to learn these life skills.
Yes. So true. So true. I love that. Dr. Shyamala, I could honestly talk to you about this for like days probably, because this is like, I have a huge passion for psychology. And like you said at the outset, I'll quote it again, our relationships and the quality of our relationships is really a parallel with our quality of life. And I think everything we're doing with Fitmamas and, all those practices, like you said, whether it's exercise or eating food or whatever, I think our relationships is at the crux of it all. And as well as I do, and, hopefully everyone listening, is that at the end of our life, especially in what is really linked to longevity, isn't necessarily, how much muscle you have and all those things. While those are important, it really is our social connections, right?
Yes, I love that.
So it's, all the things we're talking about and teaching about all the time with regards to eating and, moving our bodies and all those things. It really does come down to the mindset, the inner size, and what's really going on in our relationships, I think, is such a place to become more self-aware, because, there's sometimes only so much, you can change in your diet and exercise routine if you're consistent and you're doing all the things and you're feeling good, but you could still be in a miserable, quality of life situation if you're in a miserable relationship situation.
So true. Could not agree with you more, Jen.
Yeah. Any parting words you have for the Fitmamas, Dr. Shyamala?
Yeah, I would say, really take a scan, really take an honest audit of your mindset, of your communication style, of your relational health, and begin to identify one small thing that you can do to invite change. And you'd be amazed. I think when we create one small change, as long as we do it consistently, it can create a world of difference. So I think just start small. Take one tip, perhaps, that you got out of this conversation, and start really, really small and start implementing it and do that consistently. And you would be amazed at how much it can improve the quality of your life and the quality of your relationships.
So true. And I like that you start there, because it is so easy to go into that, I'm having relationships troubles. What's my partner up to? They're annoying, or they're this or that. And again, to bring it back to our own mindset, I know for me, I've now gotten to the point with my husband that when I'm annoyed by him or frustrated by him, and I say by him, almost loosely, because what I actually realized I am is frustrated with myself and annoyed at myself. And it's like becomes so evident that I can't even be annoyed by him, because I'm like, thank you for reflecting this annoyingness of myself on myself, right? Like, it's just such a hyper awareness. And it's like, all he's doing is reflecting to me what I'm needing to learn right now and not blame on him,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think kids are that second mirror, right? They just hold up that mirror and it's like, okay, so those are all the things I need to keep working on.
Exactly. So true. So true. Well, this has been so valuable. I know for me, I know the Fitmamas will love it and love you. And we will link up all your information, how they can find you. You always have amazing posts online, and I know you have your amazing mindset audit. So maybe you can take a second here and just let us know about your mindset audit, because I took that and loved it and learned. So please tell.
Absolutely. So I've created, I think it's like a 10 question quiz that you can take. It'll probably take you less than a minute to do it. It's really eye opening. You can find it in two places. You can either head on over to my Instagram page, Dr.Shyamala Kiru. I'm sure Jen will link it so that you can get the spelling of it, because that's not an easy one to
Coolest
spell.
name ever. Harder to pronounce than you think. Or easier than it looks, I should say.
And then the second place you can grab that audit is kiruwellness.com/mindset audit. Awesome. You can click on the link there and it will take you to the audit. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, it's super cool. And, the awareness around this allows you to take that microscope right to your own mindset and really see, hey, what's going on here? And I think that's really valuable. So thanks for creating that. Great tool.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks for being here, Dr. Shyamala. So amazed by you and looking forward to sharing you with the community. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much, Jen.
Namaste.
Well, there it is, Fitmama. Mindset Mastery with Dr. Shyamala Kiru. How awesome is she? Yes, you're welcome for introducing you to her. She's honestly such a love, and she does incredible work in this world. There is no question she deserves all the accolades she gets. And I really want to just add this in because I don't know how much we got into this, but I really love that her belief is around the fact that women are often misdiagnosed with depression. And depression is, in many cases that she's found and worked with, simply a symptom of not having the tools to navigate our life, and in particular, our relationships. So she believes it's critical that we have a framework to navigate our relationships as well, so we can move through these different life stages as they show us there's something new to be worked on always. So I truly believe her framework and the way that she works with her clients is super, super results oriented and non-judgmental. Her approach is very interrelated around the pillars of her success, which are mindset mastery, communicating with confidence, and authentic connection. So reach out to her, click the links in the bio and in the show notes if you are needing to connect with her Mindset Mastery program. I know for a fact is a life changer. And if you are feeling the struggle around relationships, communication, and really getting what it is that you need or your partner or friends, family, coworkers need from the relationship, she's your gal. Have a great day, Fitmama. Thank you for being here with Dr. Shyamala and myself. I can't wait for you to connect with her. Talk to you soon, Fitmama. Have a great day. Namaste.